the spiritual and energetic connection and meaning behind sex, and how powerful sex can be between a man and a woman and their healing journey. That's what we're going to be speaking about on this week's episode of Finding the One. I want to start by just sharing a little bit about sex, God, and a little bit about religion and how it all just kind of like comes into fold to keep us from our highest self, to keep us from our ability to live in love. You know, it's interesting. I was just doing a podcast right before this, and it was a wonderful show. And I said something. I said, Jen and I don't argue. Something comes up and I'll say something along the lines of, you know, baby, what I'm realizing is that I've been very ABC, and that came from this part of my life. And Jen will say something like, you know what, it's interesting because I also realize that blah, 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 blah. And that's it. That's the extent of our arguments. And many of you might be asking, how do you get there? Like, how do you get to that place? Well, the truth is that it requires a journey of returning back to your heart, of healing and clearing any energy that is blocking you from being in your heart. And one of the main things that you're going to have to do in order to get there is to disconnect from anything blocking you or stopping you, any story, any energy, any lies that were imprinted into your mind, heart, and soul that are blocking you from being in your sexual energy. And one of the things that religion does is that it keeps you from that. It keeps you from the power of that. All of this stuff, whether it's circumcision, is instantly causing fear into the man in his area. It's instantly connecting him to the frequency of fear and disconnecting him from his heart. Or the belief that, you know, sex before marriage is sin. Just think about that for a second. But it's putting rules around your ability to connect with another human being. All of this keeps us in lower frequencies, keeps us in the energy of guilt and shame, and keeps us separate from the truth, which is our sexual energy is our ability to create life. I don't know how deep we're going to go, but the reason we decided to talk about this is because we recently have, you're looking at me really funny right now, just so you know. But we recently have been going through an exploration and realizing like just how deep this is, just how profound of a topic this is for human beings. And we thought we'd share some of what we discovered.
Hi guys, I'm Jen. I'm also part of this podcast.
Well, wait a minute. You see, you're full of shit because right before I started, I said, why don't you go first? And what did you say? You said no, because I'm in a weird mood. So then I said in my head, well, let me buy her some time so that she could like come into herself and like lead it with a topic, right? And like, here you go throwing me under the bus talking about I'm also a part of this podcast.
Yesterday, we put an Instagram story up saying, like, asking, am I funnier than Danny? And I didn't even share this with you yet, but everyone, 9 out of 10 people, actually 10 out of 10 people said, obviously you're funnier than Danny. Danny's way too intense to be funny.
They've never come to Awaken then. Because Awaken is like a full-time comedy show for 3 days.
It is. But I am funnier.
Stop.
So, sex.
The vagina and the penis.
It's not a vagina.
So let's start there.
So just like Danny was talking about with circumcision, how, you know, that initial act of circumcising the man creates fear, or the boy creates fear and supposedly or does impact his sexual energy for the rest of his life. Well, the way in which we as a society don't name this area, I'm just going to say this downstairs area for women, is essentially keeping women out of their power. Because this is how it's explained to me. It's like, can you imagine not having a name for a hand. Like there's this part of your body that you just disassociate from your whole life. Like how could you say, hand me the plate? You couldn't. So many women or girls, little girls, were never actually taught what this area was called. And if they were, it was some like bizarre nickname. Did you have a nickname?
For what?
Listen to me when I'm talking.
Well, I'm sharing the damn story so that we can get questions. Man, you're in a mood today, aren't you? You know, forget about this no argument shit. We're about to have one right now. Yeah, my nickname for mine was a pee-pee.
No, for a vagina, for a whatever this downstairs
Pussy.
there. What, as a kid, your mum taught you that this on a woman was called a pussy?
No, I don't think it was even like spoken about.
It wasn't even named.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How insane is that? And then most of us are taught, say in school, that the biological name for this area is a vagina. And that's just factually incorrect. When I learned that, I was absolutely blown away. Why are you laughing?
I don't even know what you're talking about. I just happen to go like this to spread the chapstick on my lips. You're in a weird mood right now. So you were saying?
I was saying that that's crazy.
Yes, it is.
Because if there's no collective term, just like we would call this a hand or a foot or a whatever, if women don't have a collective term to talk about something that's a part of their body, what does that do to them?
They're disconnected from themselves, from that part of themselves, which is the most powerful part of themselves.
Well, that's the point. Is that not the exact point? That actually, it's not just any part of the woman, it's the most powerful part, the source of creation in a woman doesn't have a name. And if it does, it's factually incorrect.
Well, let's take it deeper. It's not only the most powerful part in a woman, it's the most powerful part in like human life. It's where human life gets created from and delivered from, which goes to show you, everybody, on a spiritual, energetic basis, think for a second just how disconnected we are. Because if the woman is disconnected from her most valuable and important body part, how could she ever be connected to the essence of who she is? How could she ever be connected then to her heart? And then if that's the woman, on a deeper level, how could us as a society, as humanity, be connected to ourselves? Because the one thing we don't realize, especially nowadays, we think of ourselves, in my case, I'm a man, you're a woman. Or in your case, you're a woman, I'm a man. What we don't realize is that we literally are the yin and yang to life. Mm-hmm. So anything happening inside of you is happening inside of me and inside all of life. Same thing, anything happening inside of me is happening inside of you and inside of all of life.
Yeah, and for women to be disconnected from their vulva, their yoni, whatever we're going to call it now, their pussy, means there's so much space for energies like shame, fear, abandonment, disregard. Like how many women watching don't have any relationship to their pussy whatsoever? And if they do, they could honestly admit it's not a good one. Something about their pussy like repulses them, makes them feel uncomfortable. It's like, what is the narrative about pussy in society? Like it smells, it's weird. They're like weird different shapes and sizes. Mine is like this. That's not like the porn star pussy look.
Really?
What do you mean?
That's not the porn star pussy look? I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, pussies come in all different shapes and sizes.
Right. Pussies get judged?
Pussies get judged.
Really?
You never judged a pussy.
I really like pussy.
You must have once judged a pussy.
Not judged, but yeah, they're different. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So most women end up in this space of like repulsion.
Within themselves.
Well, even in society, they're like repulsed by pussy. So if you're repulsed by the very thing that is your source of power and connection and also has
creation.
creation also has just like your intuition has its own brain, its own processing, its own guidance to give you that's so powerful.
So does that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we as women get out of the space of being repulsed into being curious? And that in itself is a whole different journey. Now let's also bring it into relationship. If you don't like yourself or you feel repulsion, imagine what happens when you're interacting with a partner. It's like, are you honoring yourself? Are you being slow? Are you taking care with yourself?
Can you let go?
Can you let go?
Yeah. Can you be in the moment? I get that.
No. And even deeper, if you're not doing that with yourself, like by yourself, then when you get into sexual encounters with men and you're really honest with yourself, do they honor your pussy? Do they take their time? If you don't take the time to know what you like and how to honor, how are you going to teach someone else what you like and how to honor?
You know, this is interesting, but this is bringing up a conversation I had with one of our clients, one of our inner circle members. I remember she told me we work with a lot of people that have experienced sexual trauma in their life. I think the reason why is because that literally blocks your life force. And so when you're looking to have an abundant life, you want some help, and you come thinking that you want, you know, more money, better relationships, you know, whatever. But the deeper we go, the more we realize that the reason why you don't have what you want in your life is because there's something going on energetically. It brings up sexual trauma. Anyhow, I'm bringing this up because this was a person who was married, and you know, she expressed to me, my husband makes me have sex with him, even when I don't want to. And like, I got to be honest, like, you know, sometimes I have to like remember, because I would never do that to you. Like, never. That's just not in my, like, who I am, you know, at least not like purposefully, you know, but sometimes I have to remember that like people in life are dealing with things, and like, that's a big thing. Because on one end, think of the energy. On one end, it comes from, you know, someone, in this case, a woman who doesn't feel connected to her power and her ability to speak her truth, be her truth, put up boundaries, etc., with the person, by the way, that she should feel the most free in this world to do that. Like, that says a lot. And then on the other end, like, this is what hopefully you guys are getting from the show, is that everything is perfect and you're the one that's creating everything. Because when you don't feel that way, well, then guess what you're going to attract? You're going to attract the perfect man to actually, you know, violate the boundaries that you don't feel connected with to set in the first place. Mm-hmm. And this is really deep because, you know, many couples are dealing with this stuff. They're dealing with these things that deep inside of them make them feel unhappy, but they stay stuck in relationships and in positions where they don't ever speak their truth because they're afraid. They're resisting. And I think the message that I want to give all of you right now is that that's the only way you'll ever be free. The only way you'll ever be free is if you actually speak your truth, is if you set your boundaries. And what is more loving and more healing for a couple to share with each other than how they feel about their intimate life? And so the more fear you live in, the less you will say that or share that with your partner, the less that you're able to ever actually connect in real love. Because the second thing that I want to share is that, like, the other day I told you something that I don't think I've ever said before or ever thought in my life. Like, in my life, like, you know, my fitness was always great or my business was always great, you know, but my relationship, like, that was always shit. I'm not the best at relationships. I think it's public knowledge. But I can honestly say that right now in my life, my relationship is the best thing I've got going in my life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because of the fact that we're very free and open with each other and honest with each other. And whatever needs to be said is said. and neither of us takes it personally. And it's because we are connected to our energy, our truth, and our sexual energy.
Yeah, I feel like the story you just shared is a powerful one because there's an unsaid expectation and something that we learn along the way, especially in our society and culture, that in order to be loved by a man, you have to give yourself to that man, right? So there's this unsaid expectation that you will just have sex with that man. And if you do, you will be loved, right? It's very transactional. So what happens in a woman's body is, okay, if I'm always seeking love and avoiding pain, right? I want you to love me. So even when I don't feel like I want to be intimate with you, I'm still gonna, because then you'll love me. Just like we do when we're kids. Like if I stay quiet and don't misbehave, then mum will love me or dad will love me. If I get good grades, then dad will love me. Well, if you acted like that as a kid your whole life, what happens in adulthood? If I sleep with my partner and I make him dinner and I then he's going to love me. But what happens when we live by expectation or assumption or live only seeking love from the external is that we totally abandon our own sense of self, our own needs. Everything flies out the window just to fulfill that expectation.
Yeah.
And then there you are having sex and you've completely dissociated and you're basically just kind of like lying there, like, I hope it ends soon vibes. So I know so many women will be able to say like, yeah, I've done that before.
That's so sad.
Because you just feel like you have to.
And can I say something? And it's like on my end, that's the last thing I would ever want a woman to experience. You know, the message is, I think that if you are with a good man, a man that is connected to his heart, a man that can disassociate himself from his needs, because need is up here. Like when you're in your heart and soul, you can disassociate yourself for a second. If you're with a man like that, I would say that on behalf of all men, like we would want you to share with us what's going on inside. We would want you to share with us if you don't feel it. Look, sometimes you're in the heat of the moment and yeah, that might be a little frustrating or whatever. But on the opposite side of that is that like it brings up the space for healing, because our women don't deserve to be going through life like that. Like I don't think we, like, think about that. Us men don't ever have to give ourselves up sexually for someone, because if we don't, we won't be loved. That's not something that we deal with. That's not a part of our paradigm in life. And yet women do. And once we realize that our women think that if they don't allow us to enter them, they won't be loved. Well, number one, that's not real love. And number two, once we can discover that and talk about that, then we can heal. Then we can get closer. Then we can create real intimacy through that belief and through that wound. That's how we transmute fear into love. And so I would say that my request would be, you know, if you do have a good man that is caring and is loving, speak your truth. Please do.
Yeah, it's about speaking your truth. And also for women, it's about reconnecting with pussy, with your pussy. Because when I say the words like pressure, expectation, get in quick, even like the term have a quickie or whatever, does that turn you on? Like if you're really connected to your body and yourself, does that turn your pussy on?
Well, maybe for the freaks it does.
What, pressure and expectation?
No, have a quickie. Like, you know, a quickie.
Okay.
That was a joke.
Ha. Pussy doesn't want to be rushed.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But in our culture, that's like the norm. Just like get it done, get it quick, get in quick. And that's where actually this whole conversation started. If you remember in last week's episode, I had written that note on my phone, which said something like,
the whole purpose of the man is to enter, or something like that.
Like when man only wants to like get inside or something. It said something like that.
Yeah.
and what that does for a woman when she feels you only wanting to basically serve your need, if we just
Call it what it is.
say it how it is, that's like really, number one, feels really unsafe, really unattractive, really a turn off, and is very hard to open yourself up to when you can feel energetically. It may not be said, but you can feel it because it's in the very structure of how man was taught to enter into this act of intimacy. And she can feel that. Trust me, she can feel that. It creates a space that's very hard to open in.
Sure.
Women are meant to be, how can I say it? Like finessed, not like broken into. It's a very different energy.
Yeah.
And when you're with a partner that wants to learn how to turn you on, because what could be more beautiful and more powerful than being able to like open your woman, right? Where was I going with it?
I don't know.
I don't know. What could be more beautiful?
No, that's it.
So what I'm saying is, yes, be open and communicate and share your truth. But all of this starts with you repairing your relationship with your pussy. Removing all the shame from self-pleasure, self-touch, self-exploration, because that's a whole another topic in and of itself. Removing that, learning to explore, learning what you like, learning what turns you on, what doesn't turn you on, learning to have a relationship with yourself so that when this other person enters your life, you can be like, oh, this is what I like.
Yeah.
Can you imagine for a second having a birthday and your partner not having any idea what you actually like? So then he shows up with a fucking, don't even know, tell me a weird present.
Balloons, and you don't like balloons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He turns up with a green sweater, but you like pink sweaters.
Right.
If you've never actually formed that connection with yourself to know what you like, how is your partner ever going to know?
You know, and I want to share something. I don't think, and this is something that we have experienced that I believe was really powerful for us, that just came to me. It was downloaded into me. And so I can guarantee like that most men listening have never thought about this. But when you really love your woman and it comes to being intimate with her, you have to understand that she has probably never been asked if it's okay for her to be entered. Like, think about that. Think about that concept. To never be asked, can I enter you? And so one of the most beautiful practices when you're ready to heal your sexual connection with your partner is for the man to take the lead and ask, is it okay for me to enter you? And I've witnessed it. I've witnessed what happens, but just asking the question, that alone, it shows a sense of honor for not just her body, but for her heart and soul as well. So that's one thing that the men could do out there that I know will be very healing. Okay, you ready? Here's a good question. How does Jen deal with knowing that Danny has cheated in the past? Ooh. My boyfriend also has a history of it. So I'm assuming he did it like in his past life, not with you. Same here. How do you deal with it?
With understanding, I guess. Understanding of where you are at the time. You know, I've always been really curious around the topic with you. And I've always felt really safe in the topic because every time I ask a question, you've always been really honest, or at least shown that you're trying to remember what happened or what that specific thing that I was asking. So whenever I have curiosity about something and you're open with me, that leads me to feel really safe. And also for me, it's about like taking you as you are now. It's like you're not even the same human being you were when you had your affair. So much in your life has changed. So many skins have been shed. So it's very easy for me, if I'm honest, to not hold on to that because it's done. It's gone. It doesn't even exist anymore. And I don't feel it in your character.
Yeah.
right? You know, and I have even gone to having the thought of, you know, what if your partner does cheat on me? What if you did cheat on me? And the only way I could have fear around the topic would be to get to the end of that thought train and be like, but I wouldn't be okay if you cheated on me. But the truth is that I would be okay.
That's right.
Because you cheating on me has no say on my value or my character whatsoever. I am so confident and so whole in the person that I am that if you cheated on me, I'd be like, that is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
For you. Of course, it would break my heart. Of course, I would go through the process of feeling all the things as a result, you know? But I don't want to live my life in fear that something may or may not happen. Whenever people give me a but what if kind of question, I always think the same thing in my head. And sometimes I say it and it's really blunt, but it's what if I walk across the road and someone hits me with a car tomorrow? What if? Am I going to live my life like I'm going to potentially have something awful happen? No, I'm going to enjoy my life and I'm going to tackle each hurdle as it comes. So the long answer to your very short question is, how do I cope with it or how do I deal with it? Very easily.
I don't think you deal with it.
I don't deal with it.
Yeah.
I know my value. I know my worth. I know you. I feel you. I trust you. And if anything were to change, then I would know. One more point. I trust my intuition enough to feel what's happening in the field. So I can have moments where I'm thinking, is he cheating on me? Like, what's going on? There's something like weird. And that same week, you would have been having like a scared thought about, I don't know if I can be in a marriage or whatever. This is in the past now.
Sure.
And then you tell me and I'm like, oh my God, I was worried all week that you were cheating on me.
But can I say something?
Yeah.
I think that's the key. I think the key to it all is the fact that in our relationship, what you just said is so available to us. Like, we are so open about anything and everything being shared openly that if you think about the act of cheating, it's someone that is afraid to share the truth about what's going on inside of them, so they look for an outlet somewhere else. And so I think part of what you're feeling also is that, I mean, I've never been more open about every ounce of every thought, feeling, and emotion that I am having inside of myself with another human being. So because I'm so open with you in that way, there's no room for a lie. There's no room for a hiding of something.
Yeah, I would fish that motherfucker out real quick.
Well, yeah, but then also, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, on my end, what this feels like. So here's the answer. Number one is like, she doesn't deal with it. But number two is like, can you create such a beautiful space of openness and truth in your relationship, so much so that if your man ever had the desire, which, by the way, we've had that conversation here on this episode, that he could just come out and talk to you about it. Mm-hmm. Because when he can, and you don't take it personal like Jen doesn't, and we work on it together, then guess what normally happens? He loves you more because he knows he can tell you anything.
And he knows that you accept him.
Exactly.
For all his thoughts and feelings. And is that not, as women, what we truly want to?
That's love.
To just be accepted for exactly as you are.
That's right. That's right. And if I'm honest, what led to me cheating last time is that I was so not able to be accepted for who I am. I was so not able to speak my truth that I literally felt, and I wasn't living in my truth. I wasn't honoring myself. There was just no space for me to like be open and honest with what I thought, what I felt, what I wanted, what was going on in my life. That 13 years of that, I felt like I was in a cage, and the cheating actually for me was like the way out of the cage, basically. I'm not in a cage. I don't need to get out of anything.
Yeah. Like, has anyone else ever had this thought that you really, I used to have this when I was doing exams, Like, would it be so bad if I just like drove my car into the hedge? Because then I could get out of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Or sometimes you even, let's be really honest right now, sometimes you even imagine like if that person died, like it would just like really help me out because then I wouldn't have to make this big scary decision. Right? That's so fucked up to say. But
I know it's fucked up to say, but that's what I used to think in my old relationship.
Right?
It'd be
People
like,
have
the
these
only way I'm
thoughts.
going to get out of this is if that person, if something happens.
If someone,
and I don't
someone
want that.
has to die.
But yeah, exactly. Because I was too afraid to speak the truth.
Yeah.
That's an option.
But how deep is that? We are so afraid of actually living in our truth, admitting our truth. It can be that deep that you'd rather someone die than have to make that decision.
That's right.
And that's essentially what you're saying is sometimes we self-sabotage. We creatively find situations where we fuck things up.
To help you get out of the
A situation
things that you don't have the courage to get yourself out of or to be your truth in.
100%. I actually did that recently with a friendship.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I fucked it up.
Unconsciously.
Unconsciously, but I could feel it happening.
Because you weren't being your truth.
I now can spot from a mile away the kind of behaviors that I go into when something is not in alignment for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've been through these experiences, I've now learned, don't avoid the truth. Before I couldn't put them together. I was still functioning out of like programming and conditioning and wanting to be loved and wanting to be liked. And now if I go back and I see the whole thing unfold, I can see how every decision I made was like the perfect fuck up to get me out because I wasn't connected. I couldn't access the truth of what was actually happening inside of me.
Yeah. So sometimes in this case, it's not even that you won't speak your truth. You don't even have the capacity to access the truth of what you are actually feeling.
Most of us don't have access to what we desire.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we've been conditioned to just seek love and avoid pain.
That's right.
Wanting to seek love from everyone and avoid people not liking you is not the recipe for the desires of your heart. They look very different, those two things.
And it's actually the opposite of love. It's actually living a life of fear. When you are living a life of love, it is impossible for you to cheat. It's impossible. Because cheating requires lying. Cheating requires hiding. Cheating requires keeping the truth away. Does love do any of that? No. Because love is not attached to the outcome. Love would rather speak the truth. Love would rather get everything out in the open. That's why when you are actually living in the frequency of love, it is impossible. You don't ever have to worry about anyone cheating on you. You only worry about that when you're living in fear.
Mm-hmm. Love is curious because love seeks truth, right? So when your partner comes to you and has the courage to say, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like a lot of fear around us getting married. And you say, what the fuck do you mean? I can't believe you. I can't believe you're doing this to me right now. How could you? How dare you? You've broken my heart. That's fear.
And what does that do to the partner? I'm never telling her the truth again.
Just kidding.
Never mind. I do want to get married. I'll go get the ring.
No space. Versus you feel fear around getting married. Tell me more about it. Tell me more about that fear. What kind of thoughts are you having? And it opens up space for such a beautiful conversation where, oh, I don't know, actually, I can boil it down to the fact that my mom and dad got divorced and, you know, I saw a marriage not working out, or whatever.
No. That's the magic. That's it.
And what that does in partnership and a relationship, guys, is that's what creates intimacy.
That's right.
Because love, curiosity,
and safety
creates intimacy. And that's the power of being open with your partner. And if we bring it back into the conversation about sex, your partner comes onto you and all of a sudden your body freezes and you don't know what's happening. You don't have to already know what's happening, but you say, babe, I don't know what happened, but like as you started kissing me, like I felt myself clench up and I got nervous. Like, can we just like take a breath together?
Yeah. And reverse the roles. What if the partner goes, well, what do you mean? But like, well, you know what? I've been working all day. I've been like,
we haven't had sex in a week.
The Bible says that you're supposed to have sex with me. Blah, 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 blah. What's that going to do to her?
Okay.
Or you could go, yeah, baby, we don't even have to do this. It's okay. But let's breathe. Let's take our time. Intimacy. Well, that was a long answer. Someone woke up. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Oh, we got a little foot kick and everything, huh? All right. Yeah. Someone found the one mid-episode. Look at that. I love you.
You want me to find a question for you?
You want to?
Sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, now you're really in the show. By the way, we hope that helped you, to our beautiful sister who asked that question. That was a great question.
Yeah, a great question.
Great question.
I ask you everything, by the way, and I just saw like a random text come up on your phone as I'm going to ask you the question, and it reminded me of how I used to be with my ex, where I was like always, he was so secretive with his phone, and it always weirded me out. He used to delete, oh my God, this is just coming back to me now. He used to delete every message.
Really?
And just keep like me and his mom or whatever. I don't even think he kept his mom. But I thought that's really sus.
See, homie is going to cheat on you. That's hiding.
Right. And the mind boils it down to he's just really OCD. He likes to be really organized in his phone. He's just like that. But in my heart,
No, here you know.
I knew something was fucking wrong.
Right.
And it was wrong, by the way.
Yep.
It was wrong.
Yeah. And like us, for example, we have the same passcode.
Yeah.
We literally, there's no barriers in our relationship. There's nothing to hide.
I
ever.
know. The other day when I logged into your Instagram so I could do stuff for the intensive, I thought, how mad that he just like fully trusts me to be on his Instagram.
Well, what? Because I'm not going to live my life like that.
But
I'm not going to live my life like most human beings live. I refuse to. I did that shit. I won't do it again. I would rather be alone. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, you have got to get to the point where you want love, peace, harmony, and joy so much that you would rather be alone for the rest of your life than deal with any of the shit that most people deal with and call love. Which is actually not love. It is fear masked in the need to have a connection with someone else because deep inside you're afraid to be alone. Find the courage to say, I would rather be alone, not because you mistrust or because you hate or because you don't like the opposite sex, because deep inside you love life and you love yourself and you know who you are so much that you're okay with being alone, that's when you'll find your partner. And that's when you'll find true love.
Apart from how to overcome the compulsion of control because of lost in childhood. But
come to awaken.
But that's not really on the topic, you know?
No, but if you want to, it's going to require, that's an energy inside of you. It's a wound, a deep wound that you've been carrying since you were a little boy or a little girl. It will require a spiritual experience. Two options: you go sit with plant medicine or you come to awaken. And I would recommend come to awaken first, because it really does prepare you, if it's part of your life path to sit with medicine, it prepares you for that journey in a beautiful way. And that's it.
Thanks for sticking with me, guys. It was a rough ride, this episode.
We love you. And that's this week's episode of
Finding the One.
We'll see you next week. Make sure that you subscribe, like, comment. We read all of your comments. We love you guys, and we love that you watch this show, because if you do, it means that you want the best out of your relationship life. We'll see you next week.